It is Tuesday, April 5th, 7 p.m. here in Washington, D.C., and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Nation's Pastime in the nation's capital, WCUA's only baseball-centric talk show. I'm your host, Andrew Snaith, here with my co-host Robbie Cruz and James Higgins, who will be joining us very shortly, and we'd like to thank you so much for tuning in as we break down the latest in the baseball world here 2 days before the official open to the 2022 Major League Baseball season. Absolutely exciting stuff, and you know, Robbie, a month ago we didn't really think that this was going to happen, but here we are 2 days away from baseball.
Absolutely, it doesn't feel real. The fact of the matter is that baseball was on what felt like the longest lockout in sports history. I'm as an avid sports fan, I've witnessed lockouts in the past. I remember in 2012, the NBA lockout lasted, I think, like a month or so, but this just felt much longer. It felt really slow. And the fact of the matter is, baseball is back, and this is a great time, Andrew.
It is a great time indeed. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We are live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on WCUA Radio. And our shows are posted in podcast form the day after on our YouTube channel. If you want to find that and keep up to date with all of the goings-ons of the show, our Instagram is the place to do that, at @NatPastimeCap. Go ahead, follow that now, at @NatPastimeCap. Great place to get everything you need to know about Nation's Pastime in the nation's capital. And if you want to call in tonight to discuss anything baseball-related, we would love to have you on the show. That number is 202-319-5106, 202-319-5106. So, as we said last week, we do have our single-player award predictions tonight to give. Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, MVP, all that good stuff. But before we get into that, we do actually have some news to talk about. There's been some trades, there's been some signings, there's been some interesting happenings in baseball over the past week. Isn't that right, Robbie?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been several moves, several acquisitions, much smaller acquisitions for the most part. We haven't seen many superstars change teams, but overall, though, this has been a really exciting time because we're seeing players move from point A to point B, and there's a lot going on in baseball.
Yeah, I will say I'd have to disagree. I do think one of the moves really did involve a star, and I think that's the biggest one of the past week. Well, let me say a star in the past who is hopefully going to be a star again for his new team, and that's the Craig Kimbrell trade.
Oh, you're talking about I don't consider him a star right now. But.
He is certainly a star if you look at his first half last year. Of course, when he moved out of that closer role, he was horrible for the White Sox. But he's a guy that I think the Dodgers are now counting on to replace some of the pieces that they lost in their bullpen and really be a lockdown closer.
Yeah, the only reason why I don't consider him a star is because the last 3 years before last year, Kimbrel simply wasn't that good. He hasn't even been reliable in the playoffs. And then you look at what happened last year when he was with the White Sox. He looked absolutely washed. And then you look at what he's done so far in spring training. He just has not looked good. His first outing with the Dodgers, his first batter hits a double. The next guy hits a home run. The next guy hits a home run. Then he gives up a double. He just looks a little bit washed. Also, his velocity's been down a little bit. I'm just not high on Craig Kimbrell anymore, and I do not consider him a star. The Dodgers, however, they needed to make this move. Yeah. The Dodgers desperately needed a closer now that Kenley Jansen was gone. Blake Trinan was going to slide and be their closer, but the problem with that was if you do that, then the rest of your bullpen depth just doesn't look as strong as it did before. And they really needed a legitimate closer, and they got one in Craig Kimbrell, a guy who's got lots of experience and will help them at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'll have to say with Kimbrell, an interesting thing is, James predicted on the show, I'll give him credit, he said he will be traded before opening day.
Yeah, and I didn't think he would either.
I didn't either. I did not think that Kimbrell was going to be traded before opening day. I thought it would happen at some point this season, but, it did. It happened last week, and in case you're not aware, it was a straight-up one-for-one salary swap and everything for A.J. Pollock, a guy that, when healthy, is one of the better outfielders in the game, very above average. The problem, of course, is just staying healthy with A.J. Pollock. Now, Robbie, if you're the White Sox, I understand why you made this trade, but I can't help shake the feeling that the White Sox just traded Nick Madrigal for A.J. Pollock, essentially.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and you are right. That is a bit of a surprise. To me, it's a sign that the White Sox simply just did not get the kind of offers that they were looking for Craig Kimbrell. I imagine somebody had to have. You would hope that somebody would have offered something even better than just A.J. Pollock, but at the end of the day, the White Sox had to get at least somebody for Craig Kimbrell, and Kimbrell just was not right for them. He did not look good in spring training for them, and overall they had to move him, and they need an outfielder, so it does make sense at the end of the day. It is at the end of the day, though, it was a failure. Trade Nick Madrigal for A.J. Pollock.
I do agree. And speaking of the man who did predict the Kimbrel trade before opening day, James Higgins has joined us in the booth. James, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing great. We're happy that about predicting the Craig Kimbrel trade. Right?
I bet.
I know he had a rough first outing with the Dodgers, but I'm sure they'll unlock him and he'll return to prime Kimbrel form. But I really want to talk about this from the White Sox perspective, not from their return in this trade, but the fact that they traded away
Nick Madrigal.
4.5 years of Nick Madrigal, and I know he was coming off the torn ACL, but he was number 4 overall pick in 19. Yeah, the power wasn't going to be there, but he was a high average guy, high on base guy, kind of like a poor man's Dustin Pedroia in terms of like what he was going to give you at the top of the order and defensively. So you trade away 4.5 years of Nick Madrigal, who's looked solid this spring, and 6 years of Cody Hewer. Not just one. You trade both of those guys away. 6 years of Cody Hewer's not going to be a free agent until 2028.
But they got A.J.
That's
Pollock.
the ultimate kicker. And all they got out of it was A.J. Pollock. Because Kimbrel didn't provide them anything last season. They didn't use him they didn't use him in the right role, but he's not good when he's not the closer.
Well, I want to just take a look at that trade one more time that you're talking about from last trade deadline. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, when the White Sox made this trade, the consensus around baseball was, oh my gosh, like they're going to the World Series. There's no excuses. This is a crazy win now move. And it just fell apart. And it's just perplexing to me.
It totally fell apart. It totally fell apart, and that's in part due to Kimbrel not adapting, but that's also in part to the White Sox not adapting as well as a team and using their best strengths, right? I mean, you look at they kind of were able to coast in that division at the end of last season because they had such a big lead, and then when the playoffs came, the Astros kind of kicked them in the teeth, and they didn't look back. The White Sox didn't stand a chance in that series, so I think it comes down to ultimately the White Sox not getting – this is all on the White Sox. They didn't get the job done when they needed to last offseason. They only got A.J. Pollock back for Craig Kimbrel, and they didn't recoup any prospect value that I thought they might be able to recoup in a trade. It's interesting to see what the White Sox will do with their outfield alignment now, and I think another great point or another fascinating storyline is to see how Joe Kelly fills in for Craig Kimbrel in that setup man spot. They gave him $17 million over 2 years, so he's going to be pitching the 7th and 8th inning in front of Liam Hendricks. We'll see how that duo works, and ultimately Joe Kelly is suited for that role because he's suited for any role in the bullpen. So I think that was a good signing for the White Sox. This is a massive loss for them in terms of trading away 2 great prospects or 2 great young talents in Madrigal and Hewer and not recouping any prospect value.
Very well said, Robbie. I got to ask you 2 things about this trade before we move on to the next one. Firstly, to me it seems a little bit strange that not only, first of all, they would make this trade for essentially, nothing. I mean, it's not nothing. A.J. Pollock, when he's healthy, is a very good player, but that's always the big question mark. My thing is, with the news that Garrett Crochet is going to probably need Tommy John now, doesn't it seem a little strange to deplete your bullpen even more?
I want to say yes, but the White Sox main acquisition that nobody's talking about to their bullpen this offseason, and you know who that is?
Who's that?
Kendall Graveman.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's really good. The White Sox bullpen
Fantastic.
is just fine. You have Liam Hendricks, Kendall Graveman, you have Joe Kelly, you have Aaron Boomer. They have depth in that bullpen. So, they really didn't need Craig Kimbrel, and yes, they did have to. Okay, yes, they did have to trade him because I think he would have been a disaster for them again this year, and I think it would have hurt them at the end of the day. But like James said, Joe Kelly is a really good replacement for Craig Kimbrel because Joe Kelly's been in the setup position several times in his career, whereas Craig Kimbrel has not. And one other point, if the White Sox win the World Series this year, I'm not saying that they will. If they do, I don't think we're really going to look back at this trade and say it was a mistake.
No, I think I'd have to agree with you there. They're taking a part of their team, their bullpen, which was absolutely loaded, and using it to fill in holes, namely the outfield.
Yeah, and this isn't about a Craig Kimbrel versus Joe Kelly or Garrett Crochet or Kendall Graveman talent debate. This is about the role that they want Kimbrel to fill. I think if you asked most baseball fans, most executives, most players, they would pretty much all take Craig Kimbrel 9 times out of 10. But in terms of the role that the White Sox were wanting him to fill, he's not suited for that role, whatever it may be. At this point, it's a mental hurdle. So I think the biggest thing for them is just moving on and starting fresh, because there was no reason to carry that salary and to carry Kimbrel on the team if he was just going to continue to struggle and hurt them.
Yeah, without question. And, end of the day, hey, Craig Kimbrell was traded. He's got a new team, and you got to hope that the Dodgers, at least for their sakes, can get him back to his form that he was in before the All-Star break
in 2021. And if they don't, they have Trinan. So.
And that's the other thing. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't really matter. They were even salaries that were left. There wasn't any really money exchanged. They had both of them almost the same amount. I think it was exactly the same amount. Yeah. And why not just do it? Fill in essentially 2 holes on each other's teams. And the final thing I want to say with this that really perplexed me, especially after I read about this, was apparently one of the big things with A.J. Pollock that comes with his value is his clubhouse presence. And we hear that a lot, right? This guy's a great clubhouse guy, and that's fine, right? But this was a guy that you could tell there was a visible sadness between the other Dodgers players when he was traded, saying how much they're going to miss him, how much he fit into that clubhouse, and how well he did. It's just, to me, it seems like a move that, while the Dodgers, they did make it, and it was a good move, it's hopefully going to work out for them, it seems like almost an unnecessary one, and one that might end up killing that kind of culture.
Well, two things here on that. I understand what you're saying, but one, from the White Sox perspective, as a clubhouse presence, they need a veteran leader in there. Obviously you have Jose Abreu, and Yohan Moncada is the older guy of those young guys, but Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, overall it's a fairly young team, and A.J. Pollock is a perfect guy to help them take that next step. Now, secondly, and maybe more importantly for the Dodgers, this opens up an everyday spot for Gavin Lux. This is a guy who, yes, he's just 24 years old. Yes, his stat line throughout the last 2 years has only been 233. But this is a guy who at one point was the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, was a guy who was talked about being traded for Mookie Betts until the Red Sox included David Price. This is a guy who is still extremely highly touted in the Dodgers organization, or I should say extremely thought of and extremely valued, and is still looked at as someone who, hey, this is the former number 3 prospect in baseball, the odds-on favorite to win the Rookie of the Year in 2020. Obviously, that didn't go well, but he's still just 24 years old and can play second base, shortstop, and anywhere in the outfield. Why not give him a shot to play every day to see if he can get in a groove and really find, unlock all that talent? Because I think if all 3 of us know, and you can ask anyone in baseball, the guy has talent. It's just about getting at bats consistently every day, which he hasn't had the last 2 years. So that's something that I think for the Dodgers is important, to get him on the right foot and to get him going for that team. And they can build a nucleus around him for a long time with Betts and Freeman and Turner.
Andrew, you talk a little bit about, A.J. Pollock's clubhouse presence,
right,
and how the Dodgers are really going to miss that. Do I think the Dodgers will miss that? Absolutely. However, that's not going to be a problem, because this Dodgers team has so much talent to the point where it doesn't even matter. Also, it's not like they don't have veterans on their team. I mean, you got Clayton Kershaw, you have David Price, Andrew Heaney's a veteran, Freddie Freeman's obviously another great clubhouse presence. So will they miss A.J. Pollock's clubhouse presence? Of course they will. But it's not like they don't have other veterans, and also, like I said, this team has way too much talent to suffer from A.J. Pollock leaving, of all people.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just that when you have a team of this much talent, maybe you don't need to keep making these ridiculous all-star acquisitions, and maybe you just want to keep some of these guys that hold the clubhouse together. That was my only point, and I get it.
I see that. It's just they have enough guys. Another guy is Chris Taylor, another veteran that they have. So they have
one of the first guys they brought back too, which I think said a lot about how much they value him.
A lot of good vets in that clubhouse. The Dodgers are going to be just fine in terms of that.
I have no doubt.
The only caveat that I could see out of this is, like I said, if Craig Kimbrell's just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think losing A.J. Pollock's going to hurt them. I think the more likely option would be Craig Kimbrell would hurt them. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but he just has not looked good in spring training, and I think I've been vocal enough about it. I just don't think Craig Kimbrell's good anymore. That's just, my opinion.
Very bold take indeed. I guess we'll have to see how 2022 plays out. 2 days away here from opening day, and thank you all again so much for tuning in. If you want to call in and talk about anything, 2 days out here from the season, that number's 202-319-5106, 202-319-5106 if you want to do that. And a couple more acquisitions here we want to talk about. before we get into the individual player awards and a little bit of a fun segment we have as well. Just to let you know, the show behind us tonight is canceled, so we will go ahead and be going over a little bit. So if we're going over around 8 p.m., no problem. Stick with us. We're going to have a little more stuff, and we might be doing that because we have a pretty fun segment planned after the player awards. So let's go on to another trade that happened, and one that actually broke last night. And I think at first had a lot of people scratching their heads, but now that I've had some time to digest it, at least personally, I think it's a very good trade for both sides, and that's Austin Meadows to the Detroit Tigers. Now, we heard that Austin Meadows was being shopped by the Tampa Bay Rays, I'd say about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and nothing really came of it. And then out of nowhere, the Tigers announced that they acquired him. They got him for a shortstop prospect, and I think the consensus is it's really cool to see the Detroit Tigers making moves like this, because at least for me, this caps off a stellar offseason for them, and it really seems like they're a year away at this point.
Yes, the Tigers are a year away. Look at what they did with Eduardo Rodriguez and then Javier Baez. Their young core last year brought them, I think, to 77 wins, 78 wins, very close to finishing 500. And A.J. Hinch is one of the best managers in baseball. I don't think anyone will dispute that. I know what happened in Houston is what happened in Houston, but he's one of the best managers in baseball. And if there's a reason why the Tigers won as many games as they did last year, and it's because of A.J. Hinch. And you're going to have another full year of Casey Mize. You're going to have Spencer Torkelson starting at first base on opening day. You're going to have a full year of development for Torkelson. I think that's massive for not only his development personally, but the development of the team. Riley Green is going to come back in about a month or two once he's recovered from his injury. I think this Tigers team is in a very good place heading into 2022. They're ahead of schedule. I don't think any of us have them winning the division, obviously, but in terms of it being ahead of schedule in a division that really is up for grabs in second place, the Tigers are right there. They have a good core in place. They have a great manager, and Austin Meadows will add more thump to that lineup. Yeah, I know he only hit 233 last year, but in 2019, guess what? He hit 38 home runs, drove in 97. Last year, he hit 27 home runs, drove in 110. He was a 2-win player last year. This isn't a guy who the Rays are just going to replace easily. The Rays don't have much star power outside of Wander Franco. Austin Meadows was one of their big boppers. I understand he was a low average, low on base guy, but in terms of the Rays are going to have a tough time replacing him in the lineup because they can't rely on the Taylor Walls of the world, the Kevin Kiermaiers of the world to continue to plug away, because at a certain point, that method doesn't work. It's just like Moneyball works for a certain point, and then in the postseason it doesn't, or it works for a certain amount of years, and then the A's go through their continual rebuild cycle like they're doing this year. At a certain point, you have to have name value, not just numbers on a page that represent any combination of names from the minor leagues. I think Meadows is a great addition for the Tigers, a great veteran leader for a young team to go with Baez, and he's going to add thump to that lineup and help that team contend this year, hopefully.
I have a bit of a different perspective on this trade than my two co-hosts here today.
Is that so?
Yes, I do. So, did the Tigers have to make this trade? No, I don't think they had to make the trade. They needed an outfielder. But I was saying last night, I think that they should have signed Michael Conforto instead of trading for Austin Meadows.
But going back to that, I understand your point about that, but they value that draft pick. They want to stay young.
That's fair, but
because with the qualifying offer, I think that's part of the reason why Conforto hasn't signed yet, because he has a draft pick attached to him.
That's a fair point. The only thing is that the Rays they traded Austin Meadows for a reason. I don't think that they believe in this guy, because he's not a free agent until 2025, right? And he's really cheap. Yeah. Okay, he's not a free agent for a few years. He's really cheap right now, and he's been bad the last 2 years. They're clearly trading because they don't believe in him.
I really don't think it's fair to say he was bad last year. I don't think that's the right word. The guy drove in over 100 runs and was worth 2 wins. That's not bad.
He hit 234 with a 315 on-base percentage.
The Rays are going to have a hard time replacing him. Like you need to have name value at some point. It's not just a bunch of minor leaguers.
It's not even name value. Like, Robbie, that's not a bad season.
Do you think that the Rays believe in Austin Meadows?
No, they obviously don't.
That's what I'm saying. They don't believe in him.
Oh, so you're saying since the Rays don't, we shouldn't either because the Rays are smarter than everyone?
The Rays are. I understand what you're saying. The Rays are normally smarter than everyone.
They not only are they smarter than everyone, but they're watching him firsthand. They know that there's something not right with him mechanically. Also, he's going to Comerica Park. If he's struggling to hit at Tropicana Field, can you imagine what he's going to do at Comerica Park? Now listen, as a Yankee fan, I love this trade. Austin Meadows, for some reason, he bashes the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. Only those three teams. I don't know what it is about those teams, but he rakes against them. So that helps the Yankees' sake. But I'm saying from a baseball fan perspective, this is not going to work out for the Tigers. I'm telling you, I do understand you need a veteran clubhouse presence, but the Tigers already got that. They just signed Javier Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez.
I don't think this was about the clubhouse presence.
I know, but I mean, I'm just saying that's something that people are saying that would help them. To me personally, this just was not the move because Austin Meadows, I think that there's something wrong with his swing. I think the Rays know that he's not a legitimate MLB player. Like I said.
Legitimate? Okay.
Or maybe not legitimate, but he's not the guy that we all think he is.
But you got to understand what they did here.
And I think I'll let you go about the Tigers, but I want to get back to the Rays.
The Rays. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Look, I understand they're smarter than everyone else, all that. But there are times where the smarter organizations try to get too cute and it just backfires. I think this is an example of the Rays trying to continue their method, and their method isn't always going to work out of you can plug anyone in and produce with 27 homers and 110 RBIs. That's not always going to work. It's worked the last 3 years. They won 98 games, 96 games in 19, would have won over 120. They won 37 in a 60-game season. They won 100 games last year. But guess what? They're due for a step back, and losing 27 home runs and 110 RBIs in the middle of that order is really going to hurt them.
Here's my thing, right? Can you at least, Robbie, this is my question to you, can you at least see why the Tigers made this deal? Because it makes sense. Because
I addressed that.
Yeah.
I said because they needed a corner outfielder desperately.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, whether or not he had a good or great season or whatever it was last year, they now have a guy who is unbelievably more valuable than the person they were going to throw out there.
Well, what I'm saying is that
Meadows... You think he's going to regress so bad that he's not going to be that?
No, what I'm saying is that Meadows wasn't the guy that they should have gone for.
You really do think it was Conforto?
I said it should have been Conforto. I understand the draft pick. I understand the draft pick part.
And the other thing is, I don't think you want to sign Michael Conforto to a number one. I don't think he's gonna. You wouldn't want to, and he probably doesn't want to get a multi-year deal because of how low it would be overall. So you're looking at a 1-year prove me deal, and not only do you want to give up the draft pick, but if you do that, do you think Michael Conforto is going to build his value in a 1-year deal in Comerica Park? You know what I mean? I don't think it was.
Austin Meadows is going to build his value.
He doesn't need to build his value, and he didn't have a say in this trade, so that's irrelevant.
But he was not good last year, though. Listen.
I don't agree with that.
I have one last. I'm going to say it one more time.
Sure.
Okay, Austin Meadows at Tropicana Field.
Yeah.
Hit 234.
Yeah.
With a 315 on base percentage and 27 home runs. With a really good Rays lineup, drove in 106 runs.
Yeah.
Now at Comerica Park, all those numbers are going to go down. You know it, and I know it. Okay? So to me, the 106 runs doesn't mean as much because he was hitting with the Rays. The Rays had one of the best lineups in baseball last year. We were just talking about Juan Soto not being able to drive in 100 and 10 runs this season because the Nationals lineup isn't deep enough. You remember that? We were just having that conversation. So the fact of the matter is the Tigers lineup's nowhere near as deep as the Rays lineup. He's not going to come close to driving in 105 runs this season, and you're not going to see him hit that well at Comerica Park.
But the thing with Meadows is you made this trade because even if he does regress, he's still going to be infinitely more valuable than the no-name that they were going to throw out there.
I'm not criticizing...
And they didn't even give up that much for him.
No, I agree. I'm saying I'm not criticizing them for getting a guy. I address the fact that they needed somebody.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that Meadows was not the guy that they should have gone. Rather, they should have traded or acquired somebody else. I don't know who that would have been. I'm just not high on Austin Meadows.
All right. Well, evidently so. Not a big fan of Austin Meadows, although I think, again, like you said, you're pretty much celebrating this trade given how well he did against the Yankees and other AL East teams.
I'm thrilled. I bet James is too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled that he's out of the division.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's 110 runs, whatever, being driven in. That's not on the Rays anymore. So, yeah, Austin Meadows, I guess figures to be the starting left fielder for them every day pretty much, right? And we'll just have to see how he does in Comerica Park. I know Robbie not a big fan of that, and I think his numbers probably will regress, but I'm not ready to give up on Austin Meadows yet.
He had 234, and his numbers are going to regress, and you think he'll be fine.
You're talking to the wrong guy about caring about batting average. But
315 on base percentage.
Yeah, that is concerning, I will say that. But he was also 2 years removed from a season where he was very, very good, and those were two things that he was good at. So I'm willing to give him at least another season before I judge him as a lost cause.
He's going to be fine this year, and especially you think about that order. Like he'll be hitting with Baez. He'll be hitting, assuming Torkelson, takes off on the right foot. He'll be hitting 3, 4, 5 with Baez and Torkelson and Meadows, or 2, 3, 4, whatever way they want to line it up. Riley Green will be in there eventually.
Yeah.
That's not a bad middle of the order, and Meadows is going to be fine.
All right, well, that'll wrap up, I think, the Austin Meadows section a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but we have some very strong opinions regarding Austin Meadows here in the studio. So the newest Detroit Tiger is, like we said, set to play left field for the club, at least for the next 2 to 3 seasons, barring a trade or anything like that. So a good pickup, I think, for them. And, we didn't talk about this a lot, but the Rays, pretty solid shortstop prospect in return. And knowing the Rays, he might be a star one day. So moving on, we have a couple more acquisitions that I wanted to touch on before we get to our awards. I'll just do 2 mentions quickly before we get to the last big deal. I do want to mention, first of all, this is not an acquisition. But guys, Todd Frazier did announce that he's retiring today. I'd like to give a shout out to him. One of just the greatest human beings in baseball. Very cool guy, very nice guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Legitimately one of the nicest people I've ever met, and just all around great guy, great career, big home run hitter. Just good. Enjoy retirement. That's all I got to say. Good for him.
Yeah, I absolutely love Todd Frazier as a Yankee fan. If you remember, in 2017, he was a New York Yankee. Once he got traded over to the Yankees from the White Sox, he instantly changed the clubhouse. They brought in the thumbs down motto.
Yeah.
The Yankees team was obviously really young when Frazier was there, and he just brought the guys' spirits up. Whenever times weren't looking great, Frazier always brought the Yankees up. He's a guy I really miss when he left to sign with the Mets in free agency. So, honestly, Todd Frazier, when he was in his prime, Todd Frazier was one of the best third basemen in baseball. He was a solid defender, and he could really hit home runs. I think with the White Sox, he had 42 home runs in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just hit absolute tanks. He played good defense. And like we said, just a great clubhouse presence, a great guy. Shout out to Todd Frazier, best retirement.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, James.
Yeah, the one thing that always stick out to me is winning the home run derby in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That was epic.
Yeah, very cool moment indeed. The one moment I want to mention with him is, Robbie, you probably remember this. I'm sure James does as well. That ridiculous opposite field home run that he hit against the Astros.
He
where
flicked
he
his arm out.
his bat, and it's I guess that was during the juice balls, was it? Or was that before that? I think that might have been before that.
That was during the juice ball era.
I think it was before it was the confirmed year, right? Or was that the same year? No, it was 2017, right?
Yeah, it was a juice ball year.
Okay, so that was, yeah. I just, when I watch that home run, I just crack up. That home run is absolutely hilarious. There's no reason whatsoever that ball should have gone out of the ballpark. So,
short porch.
Yeah, short porch and right field, absolutely. Quick 2 little minor league deals I wanted to mention here, and that is 2 veterans getting some new uniforms if they end up making the club. Firstly, Dellin Betances, former Yankee, former Met, one of the most dominant relievers in baseball at one time, suffered an unbelievable amount of injuries, didn't really pitch that much for the Mets during his deal. Signs a minor league deal with the Dodgers. And, this is the Dodgers again trying to bolster that bullpen, see if they can get a resurgent year out of him. Maybe another Corey Kluber type season, another Blake Trinan type bounce back season. Not really sure how high we are on that. I'm personally not very much. I do think that his best days are behind him, and I would even go as far as to say his productive days are behind him.
There is no bigger Dellin Betances fan than this guy right here. I love Dellin Betances. A lot of great memories, but injuries just really ruined his career. I mean, in his prime, he was touching 99, even 100 miles an hour sometimes. And I saw him last year pitch a little bit. He was throwing 89, 90 miles an hour. And the difference between him and Trinan is that Trinan didn't really lose as much velocity. He didn't have arm issues like Betances did. I hope Betances does well with the Dodgers, just like I'm rooting for Tommy Kahnle. If you remember, Tommy Kahnle is also a part of the Dodgers bullpen this year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I'm rooting for those guys, former Yankees, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting.
James, I mean, quickly, thoughts on Betances signing? I think it's a, high reward, low risk kind of move.
Exactly, and it's perfect for the Dodgers to get more bullpen depth. And I mean, they're one organization that if they take a flyer on a guy, they're probably going to unlock something in him. It's probably not going to be prime Betances again. But when you look at the career, the starts of the career that he had, and looking at where how far he's fallen from grace, but you look at how well the Dodgers have built up so many guys. I mean, I think the perfect example of that is Justin Turner. He was a nobody bouncing around from the Mets to the Orioles. Changed his stance a couple times with the Dodgers. Now has been an all-star a couple times, won a World Series, been one of the best hitters in baseball from 2015 on. So I think, Max. You look at Max Muncy, he was cast out to the dead by Oakland, changed positions in L.A. and he's taken off since then. So I never put anything past the Dodgers, and it's a low-risk, high-reward thing. They obviously they'll find a roster spot for him if it clicks, and it'll add depth to a great bullpen with Trinan and Kimbrel.
For sure. And another low-risk, high-reward signing that we saw, I believe it was this morning, is Johnny Cueto to the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Cueto really one of the last like solid starting pitching names out there that was available in the free agent market.
Yeah, and it gives them depth, especially with Lance Lynn's injury for the first at least month of the season, maybe more. Carlos Rodon obviously left in free agency, signing with the Giants. So it gives them rotational depth if Cueto builds back up in minor league camp and then eventually goes on and earns a roster spot. Obviously, he does have buyouts in his contract that if he doesn't reach the roster, I don't know what the date is, but by a certain date.
May 15th.
It was May 15th. Okay, that if he's not on the roster by May 15th, he can ask for his release. But, with Lynn being out the first 4 weeks, that's obviously very, very tough. Rodon leaving in free agency. So, it'll give him some depth. And, I think it's a solid signing. Low risk, high reward.
For sure. Robbie, any thoughts on Johnny Cueto before we move on?
I mean, I like Johnny Cueto a little bit. I mean, he's a solid back into the rotation kind of guy. I know a lot of teams were pursuing him, so they clearly saw something. Did he hold a bullpen workout this offseason? I don't
know if he did. He's going to take a little while to get ready.
I know Anibal Sanchez. Regardless, though, teams see something in him. We're not getting prime Cueto anymore, but no. I think if he slides in as a number 5 starter and he has a 4.2 ERA, I think that's a pretty solid season. I mean, the White Sox would take that.
Yeah, and hey, speaking of starting pitcher, one of the big trades that we forgot to mention, of course, Sean Manaea finally traded. Manaea and Montas, the two names we were all watching here, and everyone around the baseball world was watching, like two of the last guys with value left on the Oakland Athletics. And there was a good sentiment that they were going to trade him before one of them at least before opening day. It ended up being Manaea, who was going to be their opening day starter. He got flipped to the San Diego Padres and actually walked across the field and put on a different uniform as they were playing the Oakland Athletics that day. And now that's really all that's left with Oakland is Frankie Montas, who looks like, barring a trade in the next 24 hours, is going to open the season for them in Philadelphia on Friday. And I can't see him pitching in there past July. I don't know about you, James.
Yeah. Well, first of all, going back to Manaea, I think that's a tremendous
yes.
upgrade for the Padres. A tremendous move to bolster that rotation behind Darvish and Snell. And you think about the emergence of Mackenzie Gore. He's looked great this spring after a rough 2021 season in the minor leagues. You talk about just having the prospect depth to make the trade, but then also capitalizing and knowing where your roster is at talent-wise. Manaea is going to be tremendous for them. I think that, if he slides in as the number 3 starter behind Darvish, behind Snell, can give them depth. Whether he's 3 or 4, between Musgrove or Manaea, I think either one. That's a deep rotation. You have Manaea and Musgrove. Yeah, coming back from Tommy John.
Is he gonna be ready opening day?
Probably not.
I don't think opening day, but he'll be ready eventually.
May, I think, May or June. But eventually Mike Clevenger. But Sean Manaea, he was tremendous for Oakland last year, and Oakland has sold everyone off. You think about Frankie Montas being the only guy left. I don't think he's going to be there past June, because if you think about. If you think about how much value they can get trading him earlier, why not trade him earlier?
Yeah, it's a good point.
This is my thing about the trade, right? Okay. As a Yankee fan, I know the Yankees were talking about possibly trading for Sean Manaea. I wanted nothing to do with this guy.
You don't like him?
I'm not saying I don't like him. Isn't he a fly ball pitcher? He gives up a lot of base hits, and his ERA
He's a contact guy.
Yeah, and that's something that does make me a little bit nervous. The Padres do have one of the deepest rotations in baseball, I will admit.
Question.
I mean, he's going to be their number 3 starter. I think it's going to be Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Sean Manaea, and then Blake Snell will be their number 4 starter. That's a really good rotation right there. And it helps especially because, like we said, Clevenger won't be ready by opening day most likely. So this helps him come opening day, but like I said, if Sean Manaea can keep the ball in the ballpark, if he can limit the amount of base hits he's giving up, I think he'll be really effective. He wasn't that great in 2020. In 2021, he was, I would say, an average pitcher. He'll give up a hit per inning. He'll give up a few walks here and there. I mean, the Padres can probably expect him to have a high 3, low 4 ERA, which, I mean, that's not bad. It's pretty solid.
Pretty much all you need.
And they have so many great prospects. So, this doesn't kill him in the farm system.
But he's a guy who will give you innings. He pitched 179 and a third innings last year. He made a league-leading 32 starts, and 2 of those were complete game shutouts. In 2018, he pitched 160 and 2/3 innings. In 2017, 158 and 2/3. And in 2016, his rookie year, 144 and 2/3 innings. 19, he was injured, and 20 was the shortened season. But he's a guy who will post day in and day out. He'll show up to the yard, and you know what you're going to get. You know you're going to get a guy who will compete. You're going to get a guy who will keep you in every game. He's a very solid high number 2, but for most teams a number 3 starter in a rotation, and he was one of the best pitchers available, whether it was free agent or on the trade block this entire offseason. And whoever got him was getting a really, really good pitcher. The Padres took advantage of his market, and they became a lot better on Sunday because of the addition of Sean Manaea. I think it's a great addition. It's going to prove dividends, especially if they make the postseason, to lengthen out that rotation. And it's someone who will start every 5 days and keep you in the ball game.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, he is a guy who eats innings. He's a guy who stays healthy, and he is a competitor. I will give him that. Like I said, we'll just have to see if he can keep the ball in the ballpark and limit the amount of hits he's giving up.
For sure, yeah. Sean Manaea, the newest member of the San Diego Padres. That about wraps up the news for the week, other than, of course, one of the most shocking transactions in baseball. I know Yankee fans are celebrating. They're popping champagne because Greg Byrd is officially a Yankee again.
Yes, Greg Byrd he came back to the Yankees today. It's a minor league deal. The Yankees are essentially hoping and praying that he has a great season in AAA, and then if Anthony Rizzo goes down with an injury, then I guess he could get called up and play some first base. Although to me it looks like Marwin Gonzalez is still going to be the backup first baseman come opening day. We're not going to see Greg Byrd do much for the Yankees this year. The guy just isn't good. I'm sorry. I saw him in 2016, saw him in 2017. The guy can't stay healthy, and when he is healthy, he's just not a good player.
But he did hit a home run off of prime Andrew Miller.
He did look pretty solid in spring training, I will say so.
Yeah.
That's exciting. One other trade, really quickly, that we didn't talk about.
Sure.
The Yankees acquired Miguel Castro for Joely Rodriguez.
Okay.
Look out for Miguel Castro this year. He is going to be filthy. A 101-mile-an-hour sinker and a filthy slider. Yankees bullpen gets even deeper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Miguel Castro for Joely Rodriguez. Interesting trade between the Mets and the Yankees. A rare trade between the Mets and the Yankees. And that'll wrap up the transactions, I'm pretty sure. And why don't we move right into those individual player awards? So we said last week after our division and playoff picks that we were going to give you guys our Rookie of the Years for each league, MVPs, and Cy Young Award winners. So
I've got Comeback Player of the Year.
You got Comeback Player of the Year, too?
I have 2 Comeback Player
That's
of the Year.
fine. I'll give picks for them as well. Why don't we start off with Rookie of the Years?
We can go with Manager of the Year, too, if you all want to
You
go.
can do that if you want to. I don't know if I'm going to be picking a random manager, but I'll let you guys do that. But yeah. Why don't we start with the player ones, and why don't we start with Rookie of the Year? I think this is a very interesting class. I think for each league, there's a couple really, really good picks for who could win this award. So, Robbie, take it away. The American League Rookie of the Year in 2022 will be...
I think we will agree on this one, but it's Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to win Rookie of the Year. I am so high on this kid. The Royals have their future shortstop. He's good defensively. He's really fast. And all he does is hit. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a great season, and he's going to do really big things for the Kansas City Royals.
All right, James, quick 30 seconds. Who's your Rookie of the Year and why?
AL Rookie of the Year in 2022, Bobby Witt Jr. Same deal as Robbie. Dude's a stud. He can flat out rake. We saw that in high school, in the travel circuit when he got drafted. Before he got drafted in 19, he's been raking all spring. He's been raking in the minors. Bobby Witt is an absolute stud. I'm glad he made the opening day roster. Can't wait to see some 450-foot bombs into the fountain in Kansas City. The future of Kansas City baseball is bright with Bobby Witt Jr. being the face of the franchise.
I'm going to go ahead and go against the grain here, in the AL Rookie of the Year in 2022 will be Julio Rodriguez. Okay. And
welcome to the J-Rod Show.
Absolutely. This kid looks unbelievable. A lot of people have been saying, this is the next Juan Soto. I don't really know if he's going to be the next Juan Soto, but he's a pretty special kid. Watching him play baseball, watching him hit the ball in spring training, he's going to be really special. And I really think that the Mariners choosing to put him on the opening day roster and give him playing time in center field is going to be huge for his confidence instead of trying to manipulate his service time, and I think he's going to come out on top.
Yeah, 2 other names to watch in this if they get hot, Adley Rutschman and Spencer Torkelson.
Yes, very true. I like the Torkelson pick as well. He was actually going to be my pick before Julio Rodriguez went ahead and got the opening day spot. Rutschman, an interesting one to keep a note on as well. He will open the season injured. I believe he's going to miss, about a month?
That's what I think he's going to miss like a month and a half or 2 months.
But when he comes up, it's welcome to the Studley Show.
Yeah, finally, right? For Orioles fans, I mean, something to get excited about other than Trey Mancini home runs. So, that'll be good for them. Hopefully he gets back quick and the Orioles have something to cheer about this year as they lose 100
and then
games.
hopefully they move him to first base soon to prolong his career. career.
Yeah, no kidding.
He is a very good defensive catcher, but I want to see him hitting balls on Utah Street for a long time.
Switch hitter too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that kid's something. Hopefully he gets back fast so we can go ahead and see what he has to offer. All right, well, let's keep it rolling with the hitters. The most valuable player in 2022. I'm sorry, we didn't even do the NL Rookie of the Year. We should probably do that. The NL Rookie of the Year, 2022. Why don't we go in reverse order here? Guys, I'm going to make potentially a hot take here, and I'm going to give it to Hunter Green. I love this kid. He's going to make the starting rotation in Cincinnati. He's going to be pitching all season long as he's healthy because there's no one else to take his spot, and there's nothing that they're playing for in Cincinnati, so why not let this kid go for it? And, in case you're not aware, Hunter Green, just an unbelievable talent. Guy touches 100, 101 as a starting pitcher. He also played shortstop when they drafted him. He's not going to be doing that in the majors. He's going to be a starting pitcher given his gift for that, and I love this guy. He's looked pretty good in spring training. Of course, he has a little bit of command issues, but I think he's going to work on them, figure it out, and have a really good, solid rookie year.
I've got O'Neal Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know he's starting the year in AAA.
Let's go Pirates.
I know he's starting the year in AAA, but you think about the talent that this kid has. One of the top prospects in baseball. He was hitting 400 in the spring before he was optioned back to minor league camp. When the service time thing is up, he'll be up in Pittsburgh. He'll be one of their better players. And if he has a good year and wins Rookie of the Year, it's a good core to build around with an all-star in Brian Reynolds and another potential all-star in Brian Hayes. I've got O'Neal Cruz. He's the complete package, winning Rookie of the Year in 2022.
Robbie, Rookie of the Year 2022 in the National League is?
So all of us have different Rookie of the Year predictions for this one. The NL Rookie of the Year is going to be Sixto Sanchez. The former Phillies legend.
Eligible. That's
he is still eligible.
Yeah.
That man has been filthy when he's been up. When he's been healthy, he is legit. And he's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I don't like to throw this comparison around because of how heavy the name is and all that. But
I know what you're going to say.
When you look at Sixto Sanchez, there is just a dab of Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
With the way this is getting very technical with mechanics, but the way he has a slight leg kick at the end, with the way fastball rolls off his fingers, the spin on the fastball, the velocity, the juice with his pitches. Kid's a stud if he can stay healthy and keep it all together.
That's the big if there. And
I'm not trying to compare the two, obviously, but it's like you can see just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, he's going to be a stud if he can stay healthy. That's the other big one. I like the pick, and I will say, I think that's a good picture of what the rookie landscape is going to look like in baseball this year. Any other names to watch in the National League, James, that you think?
Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah,
I know he's not your conventional typical rookie, but I think
he's eligible.
Yeah, he's very eligible. Seiya Suzuki is a guy who if he puts it all together and the Cubs surprise people, he could win it. I think C.J. Abrams for San Diego, if he gets an extended look. Joey Bart for the Giants, he'll be in his first full season, he's still eligible for it. Cade Cavalli for Washington, and if he comes up and provides some spark to that rotation, I think another Marlins arm, Edward Cabrera. Dude is an absolute stud of a prospect, and if he and Sixto are the right duo, boy oh boy, with Alcantara at the top of the rotation and Trevor Rogers, the Marlins have a great rotation.
I will say I'm a little bit hurt that we didn't talk about the fact that 563 hitting Bryson Stott on the opening day roster wasn't mentioned at all. You not high on him?
It's not that I'm not high on him. I was just naming a few other guys.
No, that's fine. I'm giving you a hard time. But he did make the opening day roster. Yes. I think that's another name to watch for sure. But that's a great point about the Marlins rotation. It's been said a lot, but I've been seeing predictions having, and these are obviously from some casual networks like ESPN or something, but having the Marlins finish under the Nationals, it's not going to happen. The Marlins are not a bad baseball team. They're not going to win 80 games.
They'll be pesky.
They'll be pesky, and they're not going to finish below the Nationals because the Nationals are god-awful, and the Marlins are just, kind of bad with a really good rotation. So definitely something to watch for as the season goes on. And, hey, if you disagree with our picks or agree with them and want to call in and hype us up, that number's 202-319-5106. We'd love to have you, 202-319-5106.
Speaking of a potential future Rookie of the Year, the Marlins need a good season this year in Double and AAA from J.J. Bleday.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That is definitely a good pick for a future NL Rookie of the Year. Hey, kid's a stud.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's got a good year. And is he starting off in Double-A, I think?
Yeah. He did not have a good year last year.
No, he did not. Hopefully this is not another case of Lewis Brinson.
No, look, I think for him, he was the number 4 overall pick in 19, and his development got screwed up with 2 years of COVID. I don't think it's an issue. Besides that, I don't think it's another Lewis Brinson example or anything. I think it's just the development got stalled a little bit because of unfortunate circumstances, and now that we get back to a normal season, a normal world, he'll be just fine.
All right, American League. Most Valuable Player Award. And why don't we go back in the order we started? Robbie Cruz, 2022 AL MVP. Before you say this, I got to say, I wouldn't be surprised if some of us have the same names here, because there's one guy I think is just looking fantastic here. Let's see if it is.
For some reason, this was the award category I felt most confident about out of all my predictions.
I'm going to be honest, I agree with you.
Yeah. And the AL MVP is going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is going to go off this year. And I said it's going to come down to him and Wander Franco.
Wow. Okay.
Franco is going to go off this year. And I said Carlos Correa is another name to look out for this year.
James, you want me to go?
Yeah.
I have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm so confident in this guy. You know, he said at the beginning of spring training, if you saw this last year, that was just the preview. This is the movie this time, right? I think that was the quote he said. And you know what? He wasn't just talking about the Blue Jays.
He also dropped a ton of weight. He looks great
That's
right
what
now.
I'm saying. He was not just talking about the Blue Jays. He was talking about himself. This guy hit, 43 home runs last year. Ridiculous season. And, of course, couldn't win the MVP just because of how valuable Shohei Ohtani was. And I didn't disagree with that. Ohtani was the MVP. But you know what? This kid is going to go off in a way that is so unbelievable this year that the AL MVP is going to have to be his.
Look, my pick is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. too, but I'll throw another pick in just for a little parody's sake.
Sure,
all right?
sure.
How about Rafael Devers?
Yeah, hey, coming up on the big payday, why not remind everyone why he's going to get it?
His contract's up in 2 years, but Devers has everyone talks about is this Devers breakout year? I see a lot of mainstream media talk about that. Because, not a lot of those people actually follow baseball.
Wait a minute.
He's had two breakout seasons already.
They're asking if he's going to break out this year?
Yes.
Where have they been?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Exactly my point. He's one of the younger guys. He's 25 years old that hasn't gotten some of the notoriety yet. So it's like for your casual
He's 25.
For your casual
That's insane.
For your casual mainstream media, will Devers finally become a star? Will he break out? Well, he already is, people. He's had 230, 100 seasons. He's had 2 seasons with an OPS over 900. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to win it, but if I had to pick a guy outside of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to win it, I'd pick Rafael Devers.
That's ridiculous to me. I mean, this kid, it seems like he's been in the majors forever, too.
He came up when he was 21.
Yeah, he was very young.
20.
Yeah, I remember, that home run against Chapman, that's all I remember.
Yeah.
Wait, Andrew, so if it's not Guerrero Jr. for you, who would you pick?
I'll just go ahead and give it to the easy, Vegas favorite Mike Trout. I think he has a bounce-back year and continues to remind everyone why he's the GOAT. Hey, maybe he's a little pissed off that MLB Network put his teammate in front of him on the top 100 list. Maybe he wants to remind everyone that he's a chump.
And you want to know what? As good, Mike Trout is an easy pick for comeback player of the year.
Of course.
So I'm going to go with his teammate Anthony Rendon to win AL comeback player of the year. But speaking of Mike Trout, second best player in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a fantasy draft on Sunday, I picked him with the 10th pick because everyone was sleeping on him. People are dumb.
You got to be kidding me. You know what? Here's what I'd be interested to know, James. Are the people in your league casuals?
No. They're like diehards.
Okay, the other thing is, did Acuna go before him even though he's hurt?
No.
Okay, thank God. That at least makes me feel a little bit better about those people. That's interesting that you mentioned comeback player of the year. We'll get into that after Cy Young, I believe, but a very good point. He is an easy pick there, and it's just funny to me because he still had like a .425 on base percentage when he got hurt. Like, got to come back.
He was having a historic season before he got hurt.
Yeah, of course he's always having a historic season. Very good indeed. Why don't we move on to the National League? It's funny that we all pretty much are in consensus on Vlad Jr., and, why not? The kid's finally showing what everyone thought he was going to be, and, hey, maybe at this time in 10 years we're talking about, is he better than his dad or not? I mean, if he continues to do this, that's certainly going to be a conversation offensively. And we do have a caller now that we're going to go ahead and take in the studio. Hello, caller. You're on air. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, this is Travis.
Hey, Travis. How's it going, man? Thanks for calling.
Good, man. So I just started listening, and you guys were doing your AL MVP pick. Did you all pick Vlad Jr.?
We did indeed.
I got, for my pick, I sent James my pick last, but I got Bo Bichette, his teammate.
Wow. I got to tell you, Travis, I love that pick as one of the biggest Bo Bichette fans in Philadelphia, I will say.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud. The problem with that team is that there are so many guys who could win MVP.
I mean, their lineup is so loaded. I mean, my World Series pick was Brewers over Blue Jays, and for that reason, I think the Blue Jays are going to have the best record in baseball this year. I mean, they're going all in, and that team is bad.
Yeah, that team is absolutely loaded for sure.
I think the Blue Jays are most people's AL favorite, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just so loaded. Like, the only question mark that you have with the Blue Jays is the bullpen. And Bo Bichette is a good MVP pick. The only thing is, a lot of people are going to be looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. George Springer, too. I mean, if, he has a better season than them, he very well could win MVP. It's a good pick.
I was going to ask you guys, too. I got my draft at 8:30 tonight. Is there any sleepers you guys really like that I should be looking at, like mid to late rounds?
Mid to late round guys.
I actually have one.
Yeah, who is it?
Trevor Bauer.
Really? You think he comes back?
I think he's going to be pitching this season. I think he'll pitch.
Okay.
You don't think so, James?
I don't.
I mean, you're gonna have to roster him until July.
Is he not going to pitch till July?
I mean, if he gets
It might
80
take that long.
games.
Travis, I'll give you a
We'll
guy.
have to wait and see.
I'll give you a guy who is going to pitch a while, and I think is going to last really long in a lot of drafts, and that's Ranger Suarez. Guy last year, I don't know why you're laughing, Raul, because that guy last year was an unbelievable closer for the Phillies, transitioned into the starting rotation and had a 1.6 ERA. The kid was simply unhittable, and he's going to give you a lot of innings, a true workhorse.
And I got one for you, Travis, depending on where he goes in your draft for a bounce back candidate, who I picked up in a late round pick in my draft, Christian Yelich. He's gonna bounce back this year. People are gonna be down on him. Take him late.
I like that. Those are all really good picks right there. And last one, I'll get out of your guys' way, but you guys were getting to the AL Cy Young. Third straight year, this is going to be the year Lucas Giolito wins it.
Okay. Hey, I like that pick.
Yep, that's a really good pick.
Yeah,
I like that one.
we'll unveil ours in 1 minute. Stay on.
All right, Travis.
See you guys.
See you, man.
Thank you so much for calling in, and love having you on the show as usual. So a very solid pick indeed. I will say I like the Giolito pick. My pick is different, but it's a good one.
I like it. And I want to say one thing that he mentioned about the Blue Jays.
For sure.
I totally understand why they're everyone's World Series pick, but I think they are going to, in the postseason, they might suffer from a 2021 White Sox syndrome.
Okay.
Being the best team, probably on paper, in the league, right? But not having that postseason experience.
You think that's going to hurt them?
Maybe it's not their year in the postseason, but next year when that time rolls around, they'll be ready. And that's not any discredit to the Blue Jays because they're not going to be playing in an easy division, but everyone else in the AL East has postseason experience.
Yeah.
The White Sox have a year of experience, and presumably the Astros will win the AL West. They have a boatload of postseason experience.
So it's going to be a young team. Can they take
It's
down
going to
the
be a young
veterans?
team against a lot of teams who have that experience.
Yeah.
And know what it's like to go down in a series 2-0, to go down 3-1, whatever it may be. Or to go up 2-0 and 3-1 and know to close it off before the other team comes back. I think that's something that's interesting to watch. I'm very high on the Blue Jays. Again, I picked them to win the division. I think that's just one thing to watch out for, is can they do it in the postseason against all these teams with experience?
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is a good point. I mean, like you said, you have every other team almost that's going to be making the postseason outside of, maybe the White Sox, and even they have a year, have been in the postseason multiple years.
If Seattle gets in, they obviously don't have experience, but you look at the Rays, the Red Sox, the Yankees, and now, obviously, Houston.
Houston as well, indeed. And we do have another caller here in the studio that we're going to go ahead and take. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Nation's Pastime in the nation's capital. Who are we talking to tonight?
Matt, how you doing?
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Guys, I just heard your MVP pick. What do you guys think about Judge?
Judge as an MVP? I do like the pick. I think if he does...
I just think Vladdy, that lineup is so good.
Yeah.
Ohtani's going to have to battle with everybody. Trout got to stay healthy. I mean, he was top 5 last year, and, if they win 95 games and he has 40 home runs and 100 ribbies, I don't know. I think he's a dark, I don't even want to say a dark horse, but someone out there, not one of the favorites.
No, Aaron Judge, of course, one of the most talented players in the American League. And I will say, I think if he doesn't get his deal done, there's a better chance that he goes off even more and potentially competes for that.
Because if he doesn't get that deal done, it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder for the Yankees to re-sign him because everyone will be wanting his services, and rightfully so. So that's going to be even more motivation for him to go
I think if they don't get that deal done, I think he's gone. So I totally agree with you guys.
The Yankees have had the ball. The Yankees have had the ball in their court, so it would be
another name I had. What about Alvarez on Houston?
Oh, Yordan Alvarez, yeah, unbelievably talented hitter. I guess I would just probably say I don't see him having as big of an offensive season as a guy like Vladdy or a guy like Trout or something like that.
And it's so hard for I think Yordan is one of the best power hitters in the game, but it's so hard for a DH to win the MVP award. For whatever reason, voters have bias against it, and I think that would keep a guy like Yordan Alvarez and similarly Giancarlo Stanton, if he were to have a bounce back year, out of the discussion as well.
It's just because of defensive reasons. I mean,
yeah.
I think defense plays a small role in who wins MVP.
Yeah, for sure. Robbie, before we let Matt go, as a fellow Yankee fan, thoughts on the Judge pick for MVP?
No, actually, I strongly agree. I mean, Aaron Judge has looked absolutely incredible so far in spring training. I don't think whether he gets a deal done or not will motivate and incentivize him to win MVP or not, but I definitely agree, man. Like, Aaron Judge is a really good pick. The only thing is, for some reason, Yankees just don't win MVP. I don't know what it is, but they haven't had MVP in such a long time. It just feels too good to be true.
I'm a Yankee fan too. I understand 17 was a joke. I won in 17, but like some of the other years I see, I agree. I think he'll get it done. They better sign him, man. That's all I got to say. Pastor better step up for once and actually do something.
Yeah,
most overrated GM in all of baseball. So have a good day, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm pretty confident, though, that the Yankees are going to re-sign Aaron Judge.
You almost have to.
Yeah, you almost have to, like you said. But also, the Yankees have submitted an offer, so they're at least trying. Apparently the offer is worth more than $30 million a year for 7 years, according to Andy Martinez.
I heard
so
like 7-10, something like that.
Yeah, they're trying at least.
I mean, that's fair, I think, if you're Aaron Judge.
So we going AL Cy Young now?
Let's do AL Cy Young,
We
yeah.
never did NL MVP.
We can go back. We can do it after. We'll just do NL MVP and Cy Young together.
Sure. We'll do the two leagues together for the last ones. In case you're listening here and you just tuned in, we are going to go until around 8:10 tonight, so we got about 15 minutes left in the show. We're going to finish up our picks here, and we have a little segment as well prepared by Robbie. So why don't we lightning through these picks here and get to that. AL Cy Young, and I was talking to Robbie about this earlier, I really do think we're going to see a bounce-back year and a reminder of why he's elite from Shane Bieber. I really like Shane Bieber as the pick for AL Cy Young, and I see James might agree with me here.
Yep, I've also got Shane Bieber for the second time in 3 years winning the Cy Young. So, Shane Bieber is one of the best pitchers in baseball. He had an injury-plagued season in 2021. He's a guy that's dominant and someone who really the Guardians need to step up if they're going to compete along with Jose Ramirez, and I see him having a huge bounce-back year. And look, if Giolito wins it this year, I'll tip the cap. I was a year early on it. I picked him last year.
That's true. Robbie, thoughts on the AL Cy Young?
I have a really, really, really bold take that nobody's talking about.
Wait, but you never have bold takes. That doesn't seem right.
Alek Manoah.
I like that.
Really? I like it.
Manoah.
He has looked amazing in spring training so far. And in his rookie year, he was 9-2 with a 3.20 ERA and 24 starts. Give him a chance. Alek Manoah can win Cy Young this season.
You think he wins Cy Young on the same team that just got Gaussman, who got Cy Young votes and everything? I mean,
yeah.
You think he's the best pitcher on that team?
He's going to be. I mean,
wow.
Robbie Ray wasn't projected to be the Blue Jays' best pitcher last year.
No.
It was supposed to be Hyun-Jin Ryu.
I think some other names to watch out for in the American League in the Cy Young race, of course, Garrett Cole.
Yes.
Of course, he's due to get one at some point, so this could very well be the year. Robbie Ray, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, you never want to count him out. Robbie's pick of Alek Manoah. Jose Barrios.
Sure.
I think he's a guy you got to watch out for. Nathan Eovaldi had the highest WAR among AL pitchers last year. Of course, Lucas Giolito. And I think a guy who might get more consideration if he makes more starts, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
he's got the aura. He's got the allure about him. If he makes 20 starts and hits the way he hits last year and has an ERA below 3, I could see him getting some votes.
But James, you can't give the MVP to a pitcher. That's just not allowed.
You mean the Cy Young?
I'm sorry. No, you can't give the MVP to a pitcher. I was making the joke.
Showtime. Look, I'm not saying Ohtani's going to win the Cy Young, but you can't count anything out.
I like the pick. I like the sentiment. Absolutely. Why don't we jump into the NL? You got the NL MVP. Robbie, why don't you start us off? Who is the most valuable player in 2022 for the National League?
This is really weird, but for some reason I'm really confident in this one. It's just my gut feeling.
Let's do it.
My gut feelings tell me that Matt Olson's winning MVP this season.
Wow. Okay.
I see a lot of Josh Donaldson to Toronto similarities in this. Matt Olson's going to be the NL MVP.
This pick might shock you, but this guy was one of the most valuable players in all of baseball last year, and had Bryce Harper not entered another stratosphere of offensive production, he might have gotten a lot more votes than he actually did. About to be a free agent, and in my opinion, the most valuable player on the Dodgers, Trey Turner. I love this kid so much. I have for so long, and it's so much easier to root for him now that he's on the Dodgers. I think he goes off. He has an unreal year, batting in the 320s, 330s, 30 home runs, 90 RBI, stealing 30 to 40 bases, and he's going to win the MVP.
I think Turner is one of the top 10 players in baseball.
Yes.
And I think the stolen base aspect of it really, really helps him.
Yes.
Because you think about it, we don't have many guys who steal bases anymore.
No.
Like that's just a lost art in baseball. So anyone who steals above 10 or 15 is like, whoa. And you have someone like Turner who steals 30, 40. He could steal 50 if he wanted to. I mean, it's just about staying wanting to stay healthy and not, building up that collateral damage. I think you can go a lot of ways with the National League MVP. Obviously, of course, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, of course, Juan Soto. I've been going back and forth between Juan Soto and Mookie Betts. And my pick for 2022 National League MVP is Mookie Betts. I think he puts it all together. I think he puts it all together on this Dodgers team. I love Soto. Yeah, I think he's the best hitter in baseball. But I just think Mookie is going to be the catalyst for this Dodgers team. As the Dodgers go, as Mookie goes, the Dodgers go. As Mookie went, the Red Sox went. He's going to be a table setter at the top of the order for Turner and Freeman. He puts it all together and wins MVP.
I've been saying Juan Soto's going MVP for years, but here's the thing. Can a guy, we think the Nationals are going to be really bad this year, right? I mean, can a guy win MVP?
I don't think we think that. I think we know that.
Okay, we know that.
Yeah, he can.
Can a person win MVP on a team that bad, though?
I think yes. I just think the voters won't do it. That doesn't mean I don't think they can't win it. I think
on a bottom three team in baseball.
Yeah, because how much worse would they be without him? I don't think the team record should matter as much as some people are going into it. I just think the voters won't do it.
I mean, it didn't last year. The top three guys, correct me if I'm wrong, none of them made the playoffs. So
right, but they weren't one of the three worst teams in baseball. We project the Nationals to be one of the three.
The Nationals were last year. Yeah, they were, and he got second still.
Yeah, I know. Look, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just because we project them to be like this, they might not be. They might be worse than they are. But that's the beauty of baseball. Everything's got to play
162. Got to play 162. All right, why don't we move on? NL Cy Young. I guess I'll start again here. Keep it rolling. Another Dodger. I'm going with Walker Buehler.
Man, you're stealing my picks.
We did not share these before the show, by the way, either. That is very funny. Yeah, no, I like the kid a lot, and same situation. This kid is about to enter his free agent year. He's going to get a boatload of money from either the Dodgers or another team, and I think he's going to show the world why that's about to happen.
Well, for the fourth year in a row, I'm picking Walker Buehler to win the Cy Young. I've picked him for 3 years in a row. Why not go for 4? He's a Cy Young in waiting, especially with the injury to Degrom. I don't know, if Scherzer will he pitch a full season? That's a great question. I think with the two big horses out in the National League, or at least one of them, and then Scherzer potentially, missing some time at some point this season. This is the perfect opportunity for Walker Buehler to finally get the Cy Young. He's been in consideration the last 3 years. This is his time to shine. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's one of the best big game pitchers. He steps up in the postseason. He'll put it all together, finally win the Cy Young, and carry the Dodgers to October.
Robbie, 2022 National League Cy Young.
Walker Buehler is a good choice, but he's looked pretty bad in spring training so far.
And that means everything.
Yeah, just like Masahiro Tanaka had the best ERA in spring training a couple years ago and then blew up with a 5 ERA in April.
Hey, guess what, man? That doesn't matter. This isn't Masahiro Tanaka we're talking about. This is the reverse order. So last year, a giant named Kevin Gausman, he got a few Cy Young votes.
He did.
This year in the NL, it's going to be a different giant winning the Cy Young, and it's going to be Logan Webb.
You like him.
Logan Webb's winning the Cy Young Award this season.
Okay. I like the pick.
Alek Manoah and Logan Webb. Two names that your average base that casuals wouldn't know.
See, I like that. I like going out of the box with those two. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't really think Manager of the Year is that interesting. Why don't we quickly give Comeback Player of the Year as we get into Robbie's segment here that he prepared. Comeback Player of the Year, I'll just quickly say it is Christian Yelich for me in the NL.
Yeah, I've got Yelich and I've got
I was gonna say
Rendon.
I've got Rendon as well. We have the exact same picks as well. And we do have a caller here. Why don't we go ahead and take that real quick before the end of the show here? Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, it's Travis again. I didn't realize you guys hadn't done NL yet, so I wanted to get my pick there real quick too.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you got?
So I really like the Logan Webb pick. I wanted to give a tip of the cap for that. But Cy Young, I'm going with the guy. His teammate won it last year and stuck up on people. He does it this year. Brandon Woodruff is my Cy Young pick.
I like it. I like that pick a lot. Very, very talented pitcher and a very underrated one as well.
And then for MVP, and obviously you guys mentioned him, I think Juan Soto is getting ready to have a very bomb-esque season. With Nelson Cruz protecting him in the lineup now,
For half the
people
year,
are going to be more willing to pitch to him. If not, Nelson Cruz is going to eat. So he's going to have an absolutely insane season. For as bad as the Nats might be, it's going to be, I think, just an all-time season for him.
All right. Well, I like the picks indeed, Travis. Thanks so much for calling in again. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least for half the year, Nelson Cruz will be behind Juan Soto. Very good point. And I'd have to say he's my second pick for the NL Cy Young, or I'm sorry, for the NL MVP if it's not Trey Turner. So my comeback player of the years are exactly the same as James. Robbie, go ahead.
Yeah, the same guys.
All right, I think that's a very easy pick there. So last 5 minutes here, and we'll get into this a little bit, and we might finish it off last week. Robbie went ahead and found some of the hottest takes available on baseball, and he's going to go ahead and read them off here, and we're going to say, do we agree with them or not? And I got to tell you, I've not seen a lot of these, but the ones I did, they're pretty spicy.
All right, so the first one is Luis Robert will have a top 5 MVP performance this season.
Oh, my gosh. No.
Top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah, maybe top 10, not top 5.
Okay, Cody Bellinger's going to bounce back.
No.
Yeah, I'm buying it. I'll buy it.
Okay, really? You're going to buy it?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
All right.
He finally found something with his stance. All he needs is a couple of hot months to get the Dodgers going. He'll hit 7th, get a lot of fastballs.
Sure. I don't agree. The guy looks lost.
The Rangers make the playoffs.
No.
They just
They'll finish
can't.
third. They'll finish third in that division.
They'll finish third in the division, I would agree, but even if they did somehow finish second, you're going to have 3 to 4 teams in the AL East making it, so they just can't.
The Tigers can win the AL Central.
Yeah, they can.
They can. Will they? No.
Well said.
The Blue Jays are going to have the best rotation in baseball.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go with it because of the Mets injuries.
I was just going to say, now that we know DeGrom's out till June, yes, I will buy that for sure.
Okay, and do you think that Degrom and Scherzer are the most talented 1-2 punch in baseball history?
History? No.
Schilling and Johnson exist.
I'm going to say Cole and Verlander.
Ooh.
Right now, I take Schilling and Johnson. I mean, look at what they did in the 01 World Series.
Schilling Johnson might be my pick as well, but that's very true. You got 2 teammates with 300 strikeouts on both ends there. I mean,
Schilling and Johnson did that too.
That's what I'm saying, on both ends.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor is going to have a big season for the Mets.
No, I don't like him at all. And it's not just because I hate the Mets. I don't think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to be very average to above average.
He'll bounce back this year.
Well, what are we defining as bounce back?
Yeah.
The guy hit 230 this year. I mean, I think he hits 250, 30 home runs. Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to say 270 with 30 home runs, I think, is considered a good bounce back season.
Yeah, I'll take 270 and 26.
Like to point out that he's making, $10 million more a season than Bryce Harper? Like, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, and then the final one, Anthony Rendon hits 30 home runs.
Yes. I love Anthony Rendon.
We all picked him to be comeback player of the year, so yeah.
Dude, this guy is one of the more talented players in baseball, and I really hope he didn't just take his paycheck and just ride into the sunset.
He was a top 10 MVP vote getter in 2020. I don't think anyone knows that.
420 on base.
And he was hurt last year. Rendon is still one of the top 10 to 15 players in baseball, and Nat should have paid him instead of Strasburg. He's going to have a monster year behind Ohtani and Trout.
Yeah, I will stand behind that statement you made till the end of time that they should have signed him over him. And I'll also say that if they did that, they'd be looking a lot different right now. So, absolutely true. I agree. Is that all the hot takes?
Yeah, those are the ones that I prepared. I mean, honestly, I agree with most of them. I disagree with James about Cody Bellinger. I think he's done, honestly. I think he's done as an elite player. I don't think we're going to see him be an MVP candidate anytime soon.
I don't think he's going to be an MVP candidate this year, but I think he's going to bounce back and do something.
I will say
he's got to be better than last year, right?
See, he hasn't looked very good in spring training.
No, he has not.
Yeah, so... Yeah, those are the hot takes for the segment.
Well, Robbie, you had one more you asked me. Why don't we ask James this one? We briefly talked about it. Who pitches first this season, Chris Sale or Jacob Degrom?
Chris Sale.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Jacob Degrom with this one.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Chris Sale is 100% already on the 60-day DL.
Yes.
So, I'm sorry, the 60-day IL. So his earliest return is June,
first week of June,
and that's the estimate we heard on Degrom. So it could be around the same time.
Yeah.
So it could be a crapshoot here. I'm gonna say Degrom just because it's been a longer recovery process for Sale.
Also, he hasn't even started throwing yet.
That's the thing.
Because it's a rib injury. This has nothing to do with his shoulder.
I mean,
Jake is good, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Jake is dealing with the same shoulder injury that he had since last July. With Sale, this is not related to Tommy John. This is not related to anything with his shoulder elbow. This is a rib cage injury.
James, does Jacob Degrom make more than 20 starts this year?
That was another one.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't come back until June 1st, no.
I mean, that's the estimated date, so you never know. But at what point? All right, fine. You know what? I didn't want to ask this yet. We're getting the season. Next week we're going to have tons of baseball stuff to talk about. It's going to be after opening day. But I'll ask this to close out the show here. If you are a team bidding for Jacob Degrom's services, how can you ignore what's happened the past 4 years now? He's the best pitcher in baseball by far if he's healthy.
Last 2.
Okay, fine, but still, this is something. He's going to be 35 years old soon. I mean,
but he's also a guy who didn't start pitching until he was 25 years old, so he doesn't have the typical mileage on his arm, and his average velocity's only gotten faster with age. I think that's one thing to keep in mind is that he was a shortstop until he got drafted, and then he became a pitcher.
Yeah, that's a good point, and
he hasn't had Tommy John.
True. Yet, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, right? Like a lot of people saw the Scherzer deal and said this is the framework for a Jacob Degrom deal, except it's going to be better. Do you really give a guy $40 to $45 million a year like Degrom if this is going to be a big concern? I mean, age 35, plus all these injuries.
No, I get the age 35 point, but what I'm saying, his arm is not 35 years old in terms of pitching mileage.
That's
his arm
fine,
is
but-
probably 27.
But his
28.
injuries aren't all just stemming from that.
No, absolutely not. I think we see how he bounces back this year. If he makes 15 to 20 starts this year and has a sub-2 ERA and goes 10-2 with, a 1.8 ERA and strikes out over 100 batters in over 100 innings, why not?
Still do it.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my thing. If I'm a team, I'm giving Jacob Degrom
A chance.
me personally, I wouldn't give him more than a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I would give him a Max Scherzer type of deal.
340,
He's not gonna
342.
take that.
Yeah, that's it.
I think he'll want 5.
He's going to want a 5-year deal, and I wouldn't do it personally. At that point, I would just let him walk. Honestly,
It depends on who the team is. If a team is a Jacob DeGrom away from a World Series, you
Then
give
they
him
will.
5 years.
Yeah.
imagine if the Dodgers replaced Walker Buehler with Jacob
Don't
Degrom.
even stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, and then he would go into the Hall of Fame wearing a Dodger cap.
Yeah, you would. Final question here regarding the Mets. James, were they your pick for the NL East?
They were.
Does this affect that? Losing him for 2 months now.
Yes and no. Yes, obviously it hurts their chances, but I still think offensively and the rest of the rotational depth has the ability to pick up the slack.
Even with potential Scherzer injury and
He's
with the
pitching on
Walker-
Friday.
He is, I know, but he's not pitching on Friday, is
Yeah,
he?
he is.
Really? That's
he said he's
confirmed.
still pitching on Friday. Yeah.
He's hey, I'll give him credit. I mean, I don't know if he should be doing that, but he's a tough guy. I'll give him that. Yeah, but I think it has to, right, Robbie? I don't know about you, but I think it has to affect your thoughts on the Mets because even if the Mets are still good, I mean that's Jacob Degrom off your team for 2 months.
From my pick now, man, because if this happened 3 days after the season, I'm not changing it. I'm not going to waver from my pick now.
That's fair. I respect that.
I'm going to say Jacob Degrom makes 12 starts this year, and I think honestly, I don't think the Mets are going to win more than 81 games this year.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I would love that.
Injuries,
but,
man. Injuries are going to kill them.
They're an old team. They are a very old team. I
Yes.
think that's something a lot of people have talked about, and I think it's a very real concern. And they're also lacking a lot of huge, big lineup guys, unless Lindor bounces back to superstar level.
Well, think about it. The season hasn't even started. DeGrom's got nagging injuries. Scherzer's nagging injuries. We learned about Taijuan Walker.
yeah.
Starling Marte has already had it. So, the season
And not a lot of depth either.
Yeah. I mean,
Outside of a couple guys, for that rotation. So, we'll have to see how the Mets season plays out. But that will conclude tonight's edition of Nation's Pastime in the Nation's Capital. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Reminder, go ahead, follow our Instagram at NatPastimeCap to get all the updates on our show about when they go live in podcast form. We will be live again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on WCUA Radio. And, of course, enjoy this weekend. Enjoy opening day on Thursday, a week of baseball, and we'll be with you again next week.
peace out.